When you are in a victim mentality, you're actually your own worst enemy, and you just being yourself is the karma. I want you to think about anybody in your life who is constantly blaming other people for the ails in their life and the misfortunes, and maybe they're blaming you. Maybe you're the reason for all of their problems, and they will continuously remind you of that in the way that they speak on your name, in the way that they treat you. And maybe they go out of your way to remind you that you're a bad person or that you're responsible for their problems. And I want you to think about when you're a person who's not healing and you're not looking at your life and how you maybe brought in some of the things that you dealt with, you are in a victim mentality. There's no other way to be. And so we have half of the population taking radical responsibility for the way their lives have worked out or panned out. And then you have the other half, which they're stuck in a victim mentality. And oftentimes people that are taking responsibility and are healing are dealing with the consequences of having a relationship with somebody who's in a victim mentality. People in a victim mentality are not very aware of how they're behaving or how they're treating other people. They don't really think a lot about the repercussions of their actions because they're so stuck in a victim mentality, and they're so stuck in blaming everybody else and looking outwards and focusing on everything else other than themselves to make sense of their life and to justify their bad behavior and to perhaps justify things just not working out. They will continue to perpetuate victimization. And I've seen it time and time again. You may look at somebody that's mistreating you because they're in a victim mentality and they're blaming you for it and think, well, everything seems to be working out for them. I guess being a victim must be a plausible way to live your life because things seem to be working out for them. But in the end game is for somebody who's in a victim mentality, they will continuously be victimized. That is the end game. So it doesn't matter how perfect it looks currently, they will inevitably bring more victimization into their life. Have you heard the term that everything that you're experiencing in your life is you pushed outward? And so if you are somebody who is not in a victim mentality and you take radical responsibility for the things that show up in your life, and you're constantly looking at how did I bring that in? How did I tolerate that? Why didn't I speak up sooner? How am I playing small in this situation? And this is the reason why I keep on receiving this thing in my life or this type of personality in my life. That is why people like this are called alchemists, because they take the bad things that happen to them and instead of blaming other people, they figure out ways that they can up-level, ways that they can tweak this or morph that and become a different archetype of person to then call in better circumstances in their life. They're so busy worrying about themselves and how they can affect the life that they want to live and change their reality. They're not looking at other people trying to figure out how those other people did them dirty or how those other people are at fault for the current circumstances in their life. And oftentimes people in a victim mentality attract other people in a victim mentality. So they're around people that like to bitch and moan about their lives, that like to talk trash on other people. The caliber, the frequency of conversation among people in a victim mentality is very low level, low vibe in frequency and tone. So again, this just continues to perpetuate somebody in a victim mentality being victimized because they're constantly putting out that energy of woe is me, sadness, being disgruntled, being unhappy with their lives. And as they live in that and marinate in that emotion and that energy, it just brings it right back to them. People in a victim mindset also set up and create their entire identity and self-worth around how nice they are and how mean everybody else is to them and how they're generous and they're kind despite the fact that everyone else victimizes them. And so therefore they never really develop a sense of self or like a strong semblance of self-esteem because they're consistently creating their self-concept and comparing themselves to all of the victimizers around them. So they're never fully going to like step into the power of who they are and be grounded in the knowledge of who they are and like what makes them tick and what makes them beautiful, because they're constantly propping themselves up and telling themselves that they're amazing because they're giving, and everybody else is taking. Again, perpetuating this over and over in their life. So my point is, and the argument now is concluded, that people that are in a victim mentality are their own worst karma. They are their own worst enemy. They will just continue to perpetuate victimization because of the way they move throughout the world.